Got you.
Does it automatically tell people?
We're recording.
All right,
Are we good?
we are recording.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, welcome everybody to the Clackamas County Developmental Disabilities Advisory Council. Today is October 27th, 2025, and it's really good to see all of you online and to have such a full room. So welcome to everybody. Have we established? It looks like so, yeah.
We do.
Okay, perfect. So we have a guest that'll be coming in a little bit later, just so that everybody knows, so that you're not wondering who's joining our table, and we'll introduce them when that time comes. So first order of business would be to approve our September 2025 minutes. Did everybody get a chance to review them? John?
I have a point of concern in ways of advice for the future, okay? I want to point out to the note takers and how we navigate conversations in the future to the best in ways of just putting this out there, okay? I had to wait till history kind of repeated itself in ways of how we talk to people of power sometimes, in ways of how us members sometimes identify ourselves. If I ask myself as an assistant deputy of a department or something like that, I hope I put my words as assistant deputy or something, rather than contact people nationally as a deputy of Clackamas County or something like that. So for the note taking and how we navigate policies and conversations for the future, please, if we can, at a point of interest rather than a vote right now, can put in, we are a DD advisory council rather than a DD council. Because as advocates, we are forced to, we are encouraged to say that we are on a council, we are on a coalition and stuff like that. And that really affects our conversations and those in power and those who are making laws on our behalf. And how people navigate, at least in other environments that I'm with, where when I read that someone with disabilities, they would get totally in trouble if they were in the home, a 24-hour care saying they are, the director of the home, while they're just maybe a resident or an assistant. So for me, I would really appreciate, as a parable within, a village, to remind us, for the future members, that we are an advisory council and those we are empowered to invite or to make, contract on our behalf. You've got to remember that as we continue within the human services or health or behavior or other conversation space at hand. So thank you very much, Chair, for letting me put out that point of concern. I just need to see it, repeated over the years in ways that's happening, but I just wanted, when I did see it also in the notes, that's just another reminder as we navigate our habits as a DD advisory council for the county and our role. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John.
For bringing that up. Definitely important. Is that the only question or point of question with our meeting minutes from last month? Right. Anybody on Zoom? No? Okay, great. So then I move to approve
As a point, as presented.
The September meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. So all in favor of approving the meeting minutes?
Aye.
Seems like they've passed.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so the next would be program updates and any new hires, and that would be for Stacy or Kim.
Okay, well, we have 4 new service coordinators starting next week. 3 are bilingual in Spanish and English, which it wasn't posted as a bilingual initially that way, but so we're in the process of hiring and bringing on those 4 new service coordinators next week. However, Health, Housing and Human Services is also, positioned to have several layoffs happening. And so while we're hiring and these folks are still onboarding, there's also some other things happening that could impact staff in our program, just so you all know. That's one of the updates you might be interested in. And that includes some folks from Behavioral Health Division, Public Health, and then we still have 2 DD licensing staff that are impacted by layoffs. So and we updated you all last week that last month, the other 2 of those other staff got positions. So other than that, budget concerns are probably the topic of all the conversations, the meetings Kim and I are in, and probably Tracy as well. But we don't have like specifics to share around that, and, including, you know, one of the big things is obviously the federal shutdown and the SNAP benefits right now being impacted, so lots of emails and about that, and we get pretty much the information the same times as it comes out to the public, so. Yeah, anything else? Yeah,
Besides, we're trying to gather a lot of resources about food, around food pantries locally in the community, and we have a aging disability resource connection team that does a lot of information referral. So we're really trying to gather information and get it pushed out either, you know, on our website and have it available, because we know with potential changes to SNAP coming regardless, and then with the shutdown and possibly folks not getting their benefits, that there's gonna be a great need. So we will try to have that out soon. That's a high priority. Even though, you know, we don't do food benefits, we know that almost everybody that, a lot of the people we work with need. Yeah. We're gonna need food security, so.
Oh, and did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, sorry.
Does the county have an idea of how many Clackamas County clients, that might be in the community on their own that could potentially be impacted by this food?
It's 1 in 6 Oregonians are SNAP. That mean, you know, are getting SNAP benefits. So that's, if you just, we could sort of extrapolate that. We don't know for sure in Clackamas County, but 1 in 6 Oregonians. It's a lot.
And within our own, we don't track that data within DD specific, but we do know a lot of people receive.
I didn't know if someone was in-home, had a list of individuals that. I would imagine most.
No.
But, okay.
Yeah, we don't.
Eventually, when our case management system, when we have a statewide DD case management system and it's connected to one, we should be able to see that, but right now, that's not something that.
So Marissa's with the brokerage now,
Mhm.
for now. But do county case managers, do they send out any kind of information to their clients? Would they send out something saying,
Yes,
these are your local food banks,
Yes.
these are, you know?
and they
Oh, good,
have
good,
been,
good, very good.
I think we saw 4 our
Mhm.
case manager sending out like 4 different emails last week.
Oh,
and
good.
Yeah.
As we get updates and resources, and we've also, we had a brokerage reach out to us
Right.
today about how can we collaborate and partner to make sure we have resources. So,
Oh, very good.
yeah.
We try, I mean, we try to make sure that they have access to the same information that we have as far as local
Mhm.
access to county,
Yeah.
you know, the county resources and. So that we're pretty much on the same,
Yeah, that's good.
same page as
Yeah.
they are.
Oh, no, go ahead, go ahead.
For the county side, knowing that the work requirements and the requirements are happening, and those on the behalf of making, decisions on those type of limits within, HR1 and, you know, further conversation with the state departments and stuff like that. I'm gonna just ask locally, have 2 on that, and then I have, Roland reconnect later, but, are we, with open selection within VR, how is that gonna affect our client base within the IDD and DD community within certain work requirements? We can say they don't qualify, but knowing that we are having some places where IDD and DD are being scratched out in the on the programs list where high intensive needs will be only concentrated on. How are we gonna deal with the future of the context within like SNAP benefits within other programs that are necessary for the SNAP?
Right.
In ways of how we navigate, you know, in a ways of that, and I'm my personal on that one, but those are things to consider where there are disparities of people who are being qualified within a program and how we implement the future HR1 and the county program. The question of the fund one that's just gone on to the side is that I do with many other groups is I do think it's important to show how to spend $20 on 90 meals. And because the thing is, there's no way I go to Winco tonight, you know, or, you know, or Walgreens or Walmart, whatever, you know, store that we go to. And we, as clients, we are not taught, but we don't have that resource. We don't have family networks. We don't have other places to go to in ways that aging people with disabilities stuff to know what to spend for $20 a month in ways that those disabilities. And then on the budget consideration,
Do you have a resource
I didn't want,
for
well,
that?
your knowledge.
Okay.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. No, I don't have a resource, but what I am, what I'm pointing out is outside of AI, ML, NLM, and augmented realities, outside of that conversation with other people, it is that yeah. The client should trust the device, or even another thing, they should have one device. And really where I pointed out is you can have one for $20, you can have one for $100, you can have it for $200 a month. And ways to try to cross, that conversation, at least to show that the client, how to at least, and I'm not saying, I don't know how the county can do it, but it's just something that I continue when I hear the SNAP thing. We gotta remind people how to
Yeah.
spend $20 a month
Yeah.
in ways of 90 meals. And then on the budget thing,
Yeah,
how are we doing with rolling reconnect in ways that federal policy is then state implemented within the county program? So when the federal policy comes in, it's gonna get automatically with the rolling reconnect within state policy points and budgeting. The question is, how does the county encounter these types of federal laws into the county laws within these types of maneuvers and ways that you can. I don't remember the other word outside rolling reconnect, but how do we get to that conversation when federal becomes state? And then the county may or may not need to take the budget consideration in the meantime.
I'm not exactly sure. I understand the question.
Right.
Or do you just mean?
I just wanna make sure, I just wanna make sure where we're going with the conversation, knowing that special session might be called after
Sure.
short session. And I need to understand, at least on the county level, without being, on behalf of the council, how a county program is implemented within rolling reconnect and how we maneuver that conversation within.
I'm not
Within
familiar
the
with
budget.
rolling reconnects. Is
I
anybody?
mean, I
familiar
think,
with rolling
tell me if I
reconnects?
think this is what you're saying, where there's gonna be an impact from the federal government HR one,
Yeah.
which is the House resolution that's gonna be impacting both food stamps and Medicaid,
Mhm.
right? And there are costs associated with that are going to be, bringing state costs are gonna go
Yeah,
up. So
and they're
there's,
gonna,
so there was
reconnect.
there was cost sharing just for food stamps for SNAP. That was 50-50 was state, federal, and now with the new resolution, it's 75 state, 25
Oh,
federal, and so but there's no additional funding. So the state organizations, the whole state actually has a mandate to look at budgets and see where they can do some cost reductions by about 5%. They're doing an exercise right now. That could get passed on to counties. We are involved. They've sent out surveys and, across all of the different departments for people to weigh in on what are the priorities. And so there are definitely some places for input, but it's quick and they're moving fast. And there's going to be some meetings coming up in November with the legislature and then, of course, the short session. So we will be impacted. We just don't know exactly when, how, and how. And so we're trying to be proactive and.
Thank you very much for the update. It might not be rolling reconnect, I can connect with other people with that language, but it does tell me about the 25% in other languages within the slide decks that I've read over the past couple of months, so thank you.
Yeah, so we'll we're trying to stay on top of all of it, right? So we can be able to strategically respond at the county level.
Thank you.
Have a complicated chat.
Oh, great, that's great.
So Welch's and Sandy Community Information on Facebook listed a great food resource post today that has everywhere but Clackamas.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I saw that and it was long, lots of pages, but I don't think it precluded some of Clackamas County residents from maybe accessing it. Do you? What do you think?
My understanding is anyone can access it. It's just they didn't have all the Clackamas places on yet, but they were hoping to get them.
Yeah,
I'll try to.
yeah, let's try to, just kind of, there's so much information that's coming, which is great. So
Yeah.
we can just pool the resources and hopefully have like a one-stop.
are these local
food banks and resources like that, are they also hurting for?
Yes.
Because I saw a thing that's saying, you know, if
A
you
lot of
can
that got
donate
cut.
to
A lot of
any
the-
local food bank.
Yes,
or-
they were really impacted in the sort of the first round.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
So, yeah, I think the communities are hopefully people that can step up to support. I think we're gonna see more of that as well. And people need to know how to do that as well, right? Like where is, if I am gonna make a donation, or if I've got to bring canned food, or, you know, where can I have the greatest impact? So hopefully there'll be information about that too.
Do we have the timeline for when we're going to see this impact?
Which one?
The.
Good point.
If SNAP is,
Oh, November.
Yeah, November
November
1st, right?
November
When they're-
1st.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first, next week,
so any.
Saturday.
Okay. all right.
Due to the government shutdown.
Yes.
Right, yes.
Mhm.
yeah,
Right, there's like two impacts. There's the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Which is, we're expecting that to be November 1st for families to not get their benefits. Potentially, I mean, I think there's a lot of people trying to work on that issue, but it's very possible. And then once the government reopens, those benefits will be reinstated, but the requirements that, you know, John was talking about, the work requirements and some of the other, that's going into effect as well. So there will be people that will no longer be receiving food stamps because of that, or I keep saying food stamps, SNAP benefits, because of that, but,
And making that connection with order of selection is a good connection to make, because that absolutely then impacts
Yeah.
people's ability to access work, employment services. And if they can't access employment services and then therefore are duly impacted about not being able to get a job.
Mhm.
That is, I mean, our folks are
right.
like protected to some degree, but not completely. Yeah.
And again, on my side, I wanna make sure that I make a decision, yes, there might be a give or take a higher chance of need people keeping their category versus, you know, IDD like for rent care or with eating stuff, is the ethics and how we build forward from one concept to another within the county in ways to protect those with all level of care. That's the other way.
Right, right, we wanna make sure our workforce opportunities are still available for, you know, individuals in the community that are looking for those, you know, experiences, and that, you know, it's gonna, anyway, there's lots of impacts.
Thank you. Well, let me clarify.
In the chat, I want to recognize Ann says, I wonder if we should create a flyer for helping adults understand how to see their SNAP balance and make a 4-week plan that could go out to case managers and brokerages. It's a really good idea.
I'd be happy to lead on that. It feels like if we told people, here's things you have to buy with your money and here's things that you could get from a food bank or from this resource or that resource, that, you know, it could be a 1-page thing that that adults could fill out and know like where it's going to go. I know we have 34 individuals who live here at We Built, and they have no idea how to find out how much money is in there and how to figure out where to go to get other things. They're kind of just waiting for us, and I'm wondering if there aren't a lot more people than just ours that are needing some
sure.
sort of a resource. But I mean, I could whip one up tonight. And I know you guys couldn't look at it and approve it and all of that, but I wonder if there isn't a way that we could get something out before the end of the month, which is soon.
Want to call for us?
It's worth an effort.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, I support that,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I'll put something together tonight and see if and send it to you guys so you can look at it and edit and see what's helpful.
I don't think we need to vote on that. Right?
No.
Or at all. I don't think at all.
I think we
Yeah.
can collaborate on that.
Yeah, if you just want to email it to the group, then we can just chat
Yep.
via email and absolutely. Thank you for taking that on.
Yeah, it's a great idea,
Okay.
thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so in the matter of time, I want to move on to the next agenda topic, which would be QA department update.
Yeah, I can give a brief update. I don't have much more than I did last month, but I know we have a few more folks here, so. long story short, we have a quality assurance unit within our DD program now. So this is a new unit as of June. We are fully staffed in our small but mighty unit. So we have a total of, there's 4 of us. So Malika is our administrative specialist. We have me as a supervisor, and then we have 2 quality assurance specialists. And so we are currently doing some training with our 2 new staff. Our 2 new staff are also 2 of the staff from our licensing unit. So right now, those 2 folks are really busy wrapping things up with licensing while also simultaneously learning a new job. So we're doing kind of a very strategic dance, Krista and I, but they're doing great. And Malika is doing a lot of data cleanup and entry so that we can produce some accurate reports. So some of the things that we're working on right now are getting our staff training hours tracked and in compliance, sending out regular reminders to supervisors and staff on what is needed, so we're not scrambling right before audits, because we've done that and that's not fun. We're also working on getting our ISP and annual plan dates into better compliance, so we haven't really looked at those closely. So we're looking at those. It also gives us better tabs on actual caseload sizes, because if we're not having contact with people, then we need to close them out. And that allows for more people to come in, or maybe just more accurately track our caseload sizes. So we're working on that. And then our quality assurance specialists are going to be doing essentially what ODDS does every 2 years, which is our quality assurance field review. So we have that tool, and we are going to be just doing some file audits for each of the teams in the program. This is something that other partner counties, Washington County, Multnomah County, Lane County, do in their quality assurance units. So we are currently doing a lot of training on that particular tool. And all of this is, I think some of our stuff is already rolling out as far as staff training hours, the annual plan tracking, and that kind of stuff we're rolling out within the next week or so. And then we'll be auditing files starting January 1st. So, and then policies and procedures, which are just kind of constantly rolling. So that's our quality assurance update.
So
And customer satisfaction.
And customer satisfaction. Also that, which is getting revamped a little bit, but more to come on that next year. Because we don't meet for 2 months, so we'll have more of an update probably early into next year. And as we start doing the file audits and just kind of seeing, what we find and seeing trends, and then we might have to develop, staff trainings or see where, kind of just where we're needing to support our service coordinators better.
So just so that I understood you correctly, so you're doing file audits of like in-house things, and then the field review every 2 years. Can you explain what that?
Yeah, so ODDS every 2 years, they come in and they take a look at a lot of things, but they look at our client files essentially, and all the documents that are in there. So they look at our eligibility files, they look at our ISP, so our individual support plan files, they look at our progress notes, they look at staff files, they look at our training logs, they look at everything that you can think of under the sun. And so, so the purpose of doing the kind of ongoing audit is a couple of things. One, we want to know where we're at before we get into an audit and find out like, oh, we've been missing the mark on this the whole time. Like we could have done some work up front to know where we were going to be out of compliance. So that's really the main idea, is to kind of catch things before we get dinged on them. And right now we're currently in a plan of improvement, unrelated to that, but also to help kind of alleviate some of that concern when we go into an audit. Basically checking files and making sure everything's in there that's supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
And when we have our QAFR, the field review audit, it only pulls 29 files out of the 3,000 people we serve. So not everybody gets a file pulled. It's a really small snapshot and doesn't give us a global understanding of what's happening across our entire program. So
Point in time.
it is.
So it doesn't.
And they know ahead of time who's being pulled.
Yes.
They can clean up the file. We're really like This is much more of an active audit process to tell us exactly how we were
Continuous
doing.
quality.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and that's a big piece of it. It
Yeah.
sounds like a minor thing, but to know ahead of time which files are gonna be pulled gives us a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
we're not doing that. We're just gonna go in and take a look and kind of randomly sample. So it'll give us a more accurate picture of like where we're actually needing to make some adjustments in our workflow.
Sounds good. Sounds like a big job though.
It's fine.
Amy's
It's job security, my friend. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
And for
It is
training,
super
helps us
exciting.
know what training,
Yes.
right, people are
Yeah.
getting. So,
So where are we with office management strategy and AI technology? Is that going to the chair or is that going to someone like Amy right now? In ways of like the case management conference and other things that talks coming up in the next year or two.
So I.
yes, good. Yes.
So, I'm very excited about the concept of AI and responsible use of AI and bringing it, not only to our program, but actually to our county. And being able to integrate it into these, but, I am interested, I too am gonna attend the conference, sessions there to see, because I know that several of our partners have already started the integration of AI into the work that they're doing, and how much it has helped and advanced the work of the service coordinators in their time management, in their ability to even just produce really great quality work, like outcomes in their progress notes and in their ISBs. So that's one of my actual goals, is to explore that and to see how we can connect with our technology services and see what we can start doing with that.
Yeah, I know going back to quality department update rather than 29 files, say 100 or 200 within technology. The thing that I will add to insert within county and notes is that, because we have people on our behalf talking on our behalf within AI, like, say in Washington County, for example, Intel, Dell, other people in particular in ways of technology, people, definitely AI and ML, meaning machine learning, it is important to have people with direct experiences. I cannot tell you how many AI, things that come out by other people who are doing ChatGPT concepts and everything, and how much I could take. Say, for example, I went to a hostile environment. Someone in home is saying, would think a hostile environment is this. I'm talking about being with someone with 14 people in one room, while traveling around town at a hostel. So, having people with lived-in experiences within a voice is very crucial within the quality management of how we implement an office procedure within technology. And you can only do so much with certain partners that, legislators and others have asked us, but if we don't have a space for that here locally, within others, using that within their concepts, it's important within at least the quality management and the reviews of others, how frustrated it is, definitely with staff in particular, where they might be going to another agency to consult with while a report was made by other technology at hand. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And it worked, and thank you.
It is.
For you.
We are moving on to our next topic. We're a little ahead of schedule, which is perfect because that allows us a little bit more time. So I want to introduce our guest, Mary Rumbaugh, with Health, Housing and Human Services Director for Clackamas County. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And I know it's a really important topic that we're going to be weighing on today. And Sarah, right next to you, has been in communications. So Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you.
And Mary and I have talked, and just to reiterate, so we had a gentleman here, it's been over about, at this point, at least a year and a half. And who came in very graciously and talked to us about abuse allegations and what the county's role is in that. And I asked a question because my daughter is 22. And we are rapidly getting to the point of her moving out. And so I said, what does a parent do? Is there anything a parent can do? Or a caregiver, anyone who's caring for this person and guiding them and everything and helping them make choices. to find out if there are, what is it, substantiated allegations of abuse with a facility, and was told there isn't a way. And then, the other council member at the time, discovered that there was a database for elder care. So our question was, if it's available for elder care, why is it not available for the IDD community? So that's how this got started. So I'm just curious, you did point out that there's a plan when the new case management system and provider system are up and running, there is a plan to link to facilities. Where are we in that process? Is it going to be quite a long time, do you think, before that database is, before they're linked, the case management system and the provider system?
Yes.
Where they are in terms of getting it up and running, and then is the plan still in place to link it to facilities?
You guys are closer to that.
Well, the case management, there is still no firm timeline for the rollout of the statewide case management system.
Okay.
Or the provider. Do you,
Are you
they're
still?
starting to work on the provider thing again. So good timing, I'm glad you came.
I'm here today, friends.
Yeah.
Yourself and put your name on record?
And I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah.
I might have come in
Yes.
after you were
You should
introduced, so I
introduce
don't.
No, I didn't introduce
Oh,
myself.
okay.
We should introduce
I'm
you.
Krista Tidwell with the DD program and currently supervise the licensing team.
Oh,
as
great.
well as the DRC.
Okay,
So
super.
licensing, as you know, has a short window left. But with that window being short, the state has reopened the conversation around starting they call it PEMS, which is a provider enrollment management system. And essentially, probably more information than you want, but all of our work is kept in a database called Aspen. And it is old and antiquated and not very smooth. And so they started this a couple years ago and then put it on pause in hopes of case management system coming on board. That was on pause too. Now with the state taking it for licensing, they have a renewed interest in making
Sure,
this happen.
Sure.
So I don't know much about the case management system side of things, but the conversations I've sat in on with the work groups for PEMS, there is interest in keeping some type of record for advisory letters, serious violation letters, and some violations. What that looks like, they don't know yet, but they're at least having that conversation again.
Now, can I clarify one thing, just what, so licensing for foster homes is currently at the county until the end of December.
Yes.
But there's also licensing for residential that the state already has.
Okay.
So just to clarify, this is
That's a
PEMS
good
is for both.
clarification.
Yeah.
PEMS is for both.
PEMS is going to be for all provider
Yes, okay.
entities.
Oh, good.
So that's what I
Very
wanted
good.
to.
Yeah,
So
very good.
residential, employment, community living. Yes,
Community
living sports, it will be for all provider types. So all of the provider types and their licensing or certification or whatever that will be in PEMS. Yeah.
And I would say the case management system is a good year. I mean, it could be longer, to be honest with you. You never know how long it's gonna take, but the rollout was paused because they're upfront, they paused the build to connect it to the one system. So right now, they're trying to integrate the new case management system with the one system before they have any functionality for any staff or programs. So, and that's in process, that connection. And so counties have been, CDDPs have been really clear that they don't want a partially functional system when it opens, like, don't just get in there in progress. No, we want a full system that we can
Right,
function with it.
right, and there's
So
benefit to that,
it
obviously.
could be, honestly, like a year is probably generous.
Optimistic.
Yeah, I don't know if that's realistic, but,
And could it be affected by any sort of funding cut or layoffs or anything like that? Would that slow down the work in any way?
they said the funding for this was,
The funding for the system and the work is
Yeah.
secure. Now, whether or not there'll be people to do it.
yeah, exactly.
There's always the,
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
That is a piece that,
Capital.
Yeah.
that could be impacted, and yeah, that's, I mean, and the connection piece between PEMS and the case management system.
Oh, yeah.
I am not familiar with that or how that would work. I'm not familiar with that intention or how that.
Mhm. And so basically what we wanted was just, like I said, a way to look up, and if there's a serious red flag against a particular facility, then I'm gonna move on. You know, I'm not gonna look at that for my child. So, and I'm going to spread the word too. I'm not gonna, you know, with my friends and everything. One of the things that we had discussed kind of in the planning process was not necessarily looking at things that are unfounded, things that are, and looking at sort of the level of allegation, you know, if someone, I guess even if someone had a repeat complaint against someone working in a home, but it was just something that actually was protecting the person, but it was just something they didn't like, you know what I mean? Things like that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in, is this going to be a safe place or is it not going to be a safe place for my child?
And that can be captured often with a civil penalty, which means something is substantiated and there's a fine associated with that.
Mm,
So that would be a kind of a good baseline, because there are allegations, right, that are unfounded or closed out, but
mhm.
the state has in the last 6 months really switched to civil penalties, which
Mm.
again come from substantiations of abuse and neglect.
But as of right now, there's no way, if I were saying right now today, I have to make a decision by next week for my child or whatever, there's no way for me to find out that information at this point.
Not in Plaquemines County. No.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, so now if you call licensing, or you call the county or service coordinator and you asked, would you be able to give information if she were to ask specifically, I'm going out, I'm doing this home and this home and this home, is there any public information or substantiate cases of abuse? Could she call in and get that information, or is that something you wouldn't be able to give?
You know, I've not been asked for that specific information, so I would typically double check with ODDS. Generally speaking, we are vetting and screening homes that we would refer to through the DRC process, so designated referral contact, which is the other part of the team that I support. And so we would go location, milieu, gender, size of the home. And so anybody that, a provider that has, what I'm looking for, conditions, we typically would not refer to.
Good.
If they were to go out and solicit their own referrals, they would still have to go through us, but if someone has conditions, which means there is some type of investigation open, typically, there are substantiations, we wouldn't refer you and your individual to that home.
Oh,
So
great. Okay.
there's a
So there's
level
some-
of filtering system that
Mhm.
happens right now,
Mhm,
but I
good.
couldn't say, hey, Bobby got founded for on this date. We would have to get a little bit more clarification.
If there is certain information you wanna specifically, I think, or a specific provider, I would encourage that I think it would have to go through the public records request
Mhm.
process.
Is that through a county office or where do you?
You go online
Mm.
and do it.
Mhm.
Public records request.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it would go through sort of legal, our legal, and at some
This-
point,
this-
this would have to go through the state.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah,
And actually, it would ultimately go through the state because we don't keep those records.
Yeah.
mhm,
They're not our records.
Mhm.
yeah.
It's the state's records.
As Sarah and I talk, we really are sort of we're agents of the state, so we're
Mhm,
doing the
mhm.
work on behalf of the
Yep.
state,
Right.
and so ultimately it's their information
Sure.
to share.
That-
But I think
that
this,
totally
this
makes
piece from Krista, I think is actually really, really helpful. That we're not gonna knowingly refer somebody to a program or a home that we know has active issues.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
So at least there's that level
Mhm.
first, yeah.
mhm.
I think this further conversation about how transparent is the state comfortable being,
Mm.
similar to what they've done with older adults.
Mhm.
To pretty much say, you know, this person's had a violation or has been fined, how much of that becomes sort of, you know, public record or not. So I think it was an important conversation, and just to add a little bit continued background, so
Mhm.
part of some of the information that I was able to share
Mm.
in this response to Sarah was through the State Association of Community Mental Health Programs that both actually represent the CDDPs or IDD programs within counties, as well as behavioral health. And for your all's background, I became the H3S director in January of this year, but the previous 9 years, I was actually the behavioral health director here at the county. And for the last 4 years, I was actually the president of AOCMHP. So I do very much understand what your concern is, because we see it both on the behavioral health side as well as IDD.
Sure.
And really recognize, so I just want to reiterate, I do understand the system, and I do believe that AOCMHP, which we are then members of, is actually a really great advocacy as well. So I think that, you know, as the state and actually within the AOCMHP, the state association, ODDS actually is on their agenda every single month. And so there is an opportunity for us to even bring agenda items or ask them to sort of bring information. So I think, again, your council, there's a place for you all to elevate concerns, that then there's another place to elevate it at the state level as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'd be
so I had consulted with
Mhm.
sort of the lead with AOCMHP regarding IDD, and she was the one who sort of had shared some of these updates about the new case management system. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Thank
So I think there is, you know, just in general, collectively, there is a place for this council to think about potentially elevating advocacy that really is beyond what we at the county can do.
Super.
That's really good.
Yeah.
information to know. I wanna, John, just a moment. Lisa, I see your hand up.
Thank you. I have to try and remember my question now. I know. I think, is it Krista? Are you the one in the pink or red in the back?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, okay.
Hi, Lisa.
Sorry, it's really hard to see, and sometimes it gets echoey, and so I'm just trying to piece it all together. But did I hear you say that Clackamas County is the only county that does not participate in something right now?
No, I'm sorry if that. Clackamas County is not doing it currently, and the reason I say that is Multnomah County, and they are their own entity when it comes to licensing functions, although they are also transitioning back to the state or to the state soon. But in Multnomah County, you can pull up on their website every provider that has ever been a provider in Multnomah County and look at all of their reviews. Which I was gonna bring back to the group as well, is that has been brought to the state's attention as well, because that has been our friend. We have a lot of providers that have come from Multnomah County and been able to reference that and kind of continue on with that same type of monitoring. So we've shared it at the licensing team, we've shared it at the PIMS meetings as something that we would like to see in our county. So they are aware of it. They
Sweet.
also, we've
Thank you.
talked about, yeah, you're welcome. I'll leave it there, but there are some other thoughts as well when it comes to.
I mean, please, I would love to hear any and all thoughts. I thought that was the case, but I wasn't 100% certain, and I didn't know if Sarah knew that. So
No.
I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
And I'm happy to share the link with the group so you guys can check it out. And that's something that they've taken on their own.
Super.
Great. Wonder if they had something in their budget that covered the cost of creating that, or like Clackamas County could request. This is just thinking out loud, but how they initially established that.
We can certainly look at the funding piece of it. That's gonna change come January, right? The state would be. So that's where that conversation comes back to the PEM system and how to document it through PEMS. We've also brought to their attention, and they know this, but I think we've in the last year really elevated this conversation. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know you guys were having it here, is the value of that. And APD has a system, or aging or the senior side of things has a system where they can share that. And so we've encouraged ODDS to have shared communication with APD and maybe share a system. So we've been having conversations from all different angles to advocate for exactly what you're advocating.
That's great.
Lisa, did you want to follow up?
I just think that's great. I'm just sitting here going, yay, that's great. That's great.
Well, I
I'm cheering
understand
you
guys
on.
I understand there's other topics in other places, but anyhow, for me, Mary, my issue is on the client base side. When 1 out of 50 people are autistic, we do not have opportunities to be providers, be in the union, we do not have any opportunities to be in ORA in ways of, resource associations and some way, there's only one group, and they're just trying to get the things after 15 years. Or try to be on self-advocacy organization in particular. So my problem, my problem, but my thing is that I do worry about people being treated like aging and disabilities. When they have life from 20 to 60, for example, and in that to get the same information as others, because I too need to make a decision. I came from before open selection the last time, not this round, and ways of taking the services, and was totally shocked on how many people talk on the people we have. So that's something that I really would advise when I have to make a decision to do go somewhere, because I may get my foot broken to other issues, those other housing issues. That I really do point out when we need a database, we too need the database.
Oh,
Having
sure,
people
sure,
to
yeah,
do it.
oh, yeah.
And so when we make legislation on that, so for me, cross the state culture would help a lot. When people say they want people moved to another state with children and whatnot, we gotta know what environment we're gonna get ourselves into. At least by the language of those who are gonna be taking care of us in that state or that county in particular. Jackson County is very different than it is here. So that's where it is on me. I guess my question is, what is the difference of people who currently get the information that are providers, family and guardians, and those who move in directly as a client in the information that they get? What is the current status? And what is the status of our goal within what you've read in the conversations that you have for the future?
It's a great question. I don't know that I feel like I am close enough to this, in particular, your question about, if it's Sarah sort of advocating for her adult child versus, a self advocacy. I don't know. I don't know if somebody else on this group could answer that.
We can maybe tag team it, someone could talk about, we talk about choice often, right, is starting the conversation. Where they want to move, but then the process for the DRCs and meeting the provider, walking through the potential homes, we'll show 5 homes if you want 5 homes, we'll show you 20 homes if you want 20 homes. But the process for that, I can't speak so much on the choice counseling that happens, that's a little pre my team for a while. But there's a lot of opportunity there.
So it's important to have the language, definitely 1 out of 50. I mean, I can understand in my own biases and ignorance for the past, even though I've been doing it for 5 years now. About 1 out of 300 people maybe having autism, and maybe we should keep saying that is. But it is a different society nowadays. I need more representation within knowing the laws and how we got housing and how we communicate with our case managers in particular. For emergency situations that others may only be on their side with the languages that's been maybe presented in the last year. So thanks for doing that. I do understand the direction. I hope that, I don't know if there's anyone else on the call that has, non-substantial claims to other, wants and needs, but I do think expansion of thought or concept absolutely needs to be made. And then other private community partners can do what they did best in ways of how they navigate the conversation and policy.
And I can weigh in just for a second, John, as an adult foster provider in the choice counseling piece that you briefly mentioned. I know that we have gotten a lot better over the last 25 years. Service coordinators definitely make it a point to give individuals lots of choice and lots of options, and make sure that they're understanding exactly what's being presented and things like that. So I do feel like it's gotten a lot better from where I stand from my wheelhouse. So I'm not sure if family members are experiencing the same thing, but it's a pretty big component these days to make sure individuals are having.
We provider types, I have a different relationship and language, but I do think in the future for home and housing, the new provider types that are being approved in the future in the next 5 years, DSW, other provider types that are getting passed right now, needs to be considered within this database and a conversation with direct experience.
Are self-advocates, do you know how much self-advocates are involved in these discussions around the case management system, the PIN.
That's what I was gonna ask about.
Yeah.
things in particular, what our advocates for at the
Talk to
table.
someone who, you know, goes to an update at a
You
committee. and-
normally know more than the rest of us.
Oh, yeah, so-
Here, we get our updates from you.
No, but I'm not gonna answer that because
Oh.
that is a wider discussion.
Okay,
But as someone who is not hooked up with the union, but that's not hooked up with a home in ways of the ways that they either do, when we have people in Washington County that's going on national, you know, consulting assignments, then say Eddie or other self-advocates in ways, you know, that's not a healthy way, definitely in the last 20 years that we built our system in a way that I do see improvement, but I also see it going backwards in ways of accommodation. And because of that, in a way that they implement through healthcare committees or other, you know, strategies, that is something to be considered in ways of how we get the information of abuse and who is the abuser. That, you know, we had a Rights to Repair Act. There was a guy that did some testimony, and I could be for a concept like the right to repair, but when you worry about Medicaid fraud and other issues, that's another way of how we navigate the conversation. And it's very hard because there is such, you know, there's bylaws within public meeting laws, I can't speak anything, oh, you signed up here, you know, every way of that, but, you know, it's just. Sorry for the sound effects, but the sound effects, that's the community partners, not myself and autistic individuals, but it's just, you know, that frustration where there's no place to really put yourself, because it's just that you have a different conversation with Darlene or Keith than you do with Anna Laskin or Donna Lisa to Katie Rook. You just have to be prepared for that environment and how crucial that is, even in the home care of this issue. And how we have that conversation, how people make laws on other people's behalf.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't. mean to-
No, you're fine, you're fine. I can't do everything, you can talk about other topics, I can, but it's just, you know, for me, I am, it's way that
We
other people
appreciate you,
get paid. 120,000, and you know, and other people do not because of the way that they implement laws, and if you wanna get to it. 30 million of state funds and with $100 million is not unfair to me.
Yeah.
For self-advocacy organizations across town for $1 billion state funded exercise. So
All right.
that's my personal thing on that side. But we don't have those options. Without that, we're putting respite care, we're putting time, we're putting whatever as other people think on our behalf. And I just hope that for home care, as we can get in more detail on our problem with that you and their consultants, you know, in ways of what you do. I do think in home care, we do need to at least have that information when we go in and think, and then continue that stabilize, that kind of like, SNAP is, you know, triggering, you know, HB1, that stabilizing crisis unit will hit your side. You know, how do we have that conversation in ways that are a little different? And I do see the improvement of the athletes I see in ways of who they are and the freedom that they have. One of my best kids was senior seminar with a buddy of mine on the outside, they went to a place again. So, you know, it's that type of things I know that's happening, but it's not in the language of the law. Yes.
And I think on this topic, just to sort of close this out, so you guys can keep moving along, I think this is important for this to be just, you know, maybe not every meeting, but because especially with changes with licensing going back to the state, we want to make sure we have not now created sort of a gap of information and that you all just have this maybe, you know, again, quarterly, have a standing agenda item just to get an update. And if, you know, Krista ends up being sort of closer to the PEMS conversation, let's, you know, make sure the right people are sort of being invited for those updates, so.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have one more housing issue for the housing person or whatnot. For those who do HUD and other, you know, state programs and stuff like that. There's a good danger when people get in and out of the system, taking years to get back on the system. It's kind of like the Ticket to Work program in ways that culture can only do what you're allowed to do. For myself or others, I can see them needing to cross different sections, but crossing back to a section is very difficult. And I know it's that for constant concern, it can be passed on. But it is with say open selection now, you know, that you didn't know 8 years ago, those are things to look out for. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. That was really good
So
conversation.
I would like to say
Yeah.
that I would like to elevate this to DDS. So I would like to, we're going into a holiday hiatus after this meeting, correct? So I will work on that some. But it'll be, you know, obviously a team effort, but I'd like to look at that sort of by the beginning of next year to be able to.
Which is gonna segue us right into our next topic, which is talking about our annual agenda. And we can put that on.
Okay.
For part of our annual agenda and and maybe we can research over our recess, how exactly to elevate it. And then, yeah, we can put that on one of our agenda topics at the beginning of the year.
Great, and I really want to thank Mary for coming.
Yeah.
And Krista.
I'm gonna hang out, so.
Super, super.
Yes, so perfect, okay.
It was nice to meet everybody. What's that?
I don't know if we're gonna survive today without you.
Oh.
You're gonna be fine. Oh, is there more? Well, I know there's more. I gotta excuse myself soon, but do you have more for me?
Unless you would like to share some.
No, I've got enough for today. It's nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you, thank you.
Reach out if you have any questions about PEMS or how I can support.
Tell me your full name again.
Krista, Krista,
Okay.
Tidwell.
Tidwell, Tidwell.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You guys are doing awesome stuff.
Thanks, Krista.
Can we make sure?
Thanks for letting me crash.
Yeah,
We
for
appreciate it.
contact info, yeah.
Sorry to have to leave the.
It's all right.
Yeah. Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
So the next agenda topic is talking about our annual agenda plan. And so we have kind of been thinking about this for the last month or two, and I just wanted to open up the floor to pinpoint some actual things. So if anybody wanted to bring their agenda ideas before I share mine, that would be awesome. John?
And I have my own issues with what I said about, but I will point out, actually, my main goal when I first started this is because some of the people were neglected on conversations within other places at the time, in 2023 and all. I wanted to try to put in, trade ideals like or some ideas or emergency evacuation or whatever we talked about anyway. Bugs and rest or whatever it may be. Then it went to bringing in guests at the time in the middle of my chair slash whatnot, and then a couple of times off and that stuff. But the thing that I still am crucial is, as I mentioned, provide parents in particular 3 times to see that, you know, where we are on those type of concepts and stuff. I do want to point out that I already mentioned self-advocacy once. And that was in the January or February meeting of our first or second year. I have not heard anything since, and I did that for some purposes in ways to try to meet our membership members. But I do think it is crucial, hopefully, but you know, before I leave on 2026, to at least hear some of the languages of Oregon Self-Advocacy Coalition to, you know, at least what the county has in plan within cross relationships within other department relationships with those with lived in experiences. And that still is something that's crucial and beyond just, you know, one type of voice of the, you know, 2005. You know, this is my kid, here they are, you know, they, you know, I want it to be a group thing in ways of how we navigate it. It's a regional, you know, ideal coming out, you know, in the woodworks or not. I do think it's important to at least one more shot, not just on my behalf, but on their behalf as we transition to whoever the next role of self-advocacy may be within the county program. Thank you. That's my. Well, that. Thank you.
Does anybody else, Colleen, Lisa, and Lyra, anybody else have some agenda topics you would like us to tackle in the next year that you'd like to share with the council? And then in the room, Sarah or Chris?
Medicaid updates,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
Yeah,
keeping us abreast of
Budget,
it.
funding.
Mhm.
That's what I was-
okay.
I know I sent some in after the last meeting.
I didn't know if you wanted to share them, just while we're here officially in the meetings, for the meeting minutes, so that we have.
I'd have to look them up again. Hold
I
on.
was gonna say that, Anne, I was gonna test you. You know what they were?
While Anne reviews her notes, I have a very quick question about, so I just went, I've been kind of a volunteer a little bit with L'Arche, for years. And I was at their benefit gala a few weeks ago, and, Julia Brown, who's the executive director, mentioned that they already know that they're gonna have about $65,000 less next year in Medicaid reimbursements. What does that mean? What does that mean for an agency, a provider agency? What does that look like when?
I just assume that L'Arche is a agency that hires DSPs. Is that what
No,
I'm
they're actually,
understanding?
it's more of a group home.
It's a group thing.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't know that.
It'd probably depend on their overall budget. I mean,
I don't think it's huge. I do not think it's huge. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's
Yeah, I mean reductions unless they,
reductions in staff or.
probably,
Mhm.
I mean.
all
I
of the
think
areas depending
everything's on the table for a potential reduction.
Sure.
So, like, I don't know what that means for a particular agency, but I mean, if less people are covered by Medicaid and if rates are reduced and if, things are adjusted, I don't think we know yet or what that might mean for an agency and whether or not an agency can keep their doors open during these times. So, but I think what we're hearing is like, everything is on the table for a potential reduction, not just through the rest of this biennium, but even more so into the next biennium.
Do you guys have to go through a 5% reduction like the state?
They're going through that exercise, right?
Put the number out there.
Yeah, well, we don't.
We're not.
We
That's what I'm asking, that's what I'm asking.
We
Yeah.
do not yet,
Yes.
we have not been
Yes.
yet directed to
Right.
do any kind of reduction modeling, but
Okay.
that, again, to
We don't-
Stacy's point, everything is on the table.
All right.
Because we are closely watching the federal.
I think I get the
and
next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't really know. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even Large probably doesn't really know what that's gonna look like, but they're anticipating for all the reasons that Stacy mentioned. It will be harder for people people will have to reapply more often, and so people often fall through the cracks when that happens because it just, it's an administrative burden, honestly, for folks. So but we don't really know. We haven't heard like there's this one big giant cut to the IDD system or anything like that. It's just, we just know there's gonna be impacts so it's hard to do that modeling or do that planning when we just don't know, but we know it's coming in some way.
This is a big cloud moving over.
It is, it really is, for sure.
Oh,
gosh.
Lisa, I saw your hand up and then you put it down. Do you still have a question?
Yeah, it's not really, I think it's more of a comment, and maybe now I'm sort of confused. I was under the impression that the big bad beautiful lovely whatever you want to call it bill did not actually impact home and community-based services at all. It wasn't mentioned in there once. I still can't find how that trickles down to home and community-based services. So what am I missing?
Well, there's some new rules for agencies where an agency has to have 3 months worth of payroll and benefits in cash in the bank in order to continue to be an agency, which has, for a nonprofit agency, is devastating. We've given 2/3 of our business away to another nonprofit who is new and not can start without having that, where a 10-year nonprofit can't. So, that's a significant impact on families and parents who don't want to go back to the state and be a PSW, who struggle with the reporting system. They've spent a lot of money on videos and how to teach parents how to, be a PSW instead of a DSP. And so it has had an impact, particularly on our business. We can make it work, but we can't be a nonprofit with $3 million in the bank because then the IRS will cancel our nonprofit because we're not working our mission. So there are things that are happening, even though it isn't showing up as legitimate things on the big beautiful bill or whatever it is, they are still happening to us in this state.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Mhm.
And not to deviate too much off of our agenda, but the little bits that I know of unofficially, Oregon had a big audit that came through with a lot of like the Medicaid funding and different things, and that's why the rate and wage study happened, and there's a lot of accountability that needed to happen from Oregon to the federal government, and so I don't know if they were finding things there that were mismanaged or not done the way they wanted it, so now they're redoing things. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I know there's a lot of financial.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest,
Happening in Oregon.
the biggest companies that are doing direct support, did have some audits that did not go well. So, but everyone pays that price.
Yeah, big things, so.
They're not the only one.
Yeah, no,
That's why.
Thank you, Ann. That's good enough information. I got it. Yeah, that is another issue that's coming up with the legislation concept and ways of how some things are happening with, who's gonna make a decision in a governor's board or something like that. So there are things coming up in that way with that. I think for me, it's not about DEI. I mean, for me, it's resume building. And that's something that, when we do think about, the big beautiful bill and how we move forward conversation, how can we have it within, but I just, yeah, so for me, the other consequences, the language that you guys were just saying, and in particular about the saving on the budget portion, sounds very familiar. It's, I've been asking for budget training for about a decade now, in ways of how to get on board and other conversations, but it's, it's. How can we also communicate if we have a new governor? I mean, how are we gonna get through that, countywide, outside of those applicants that speak, so it's just. To me, I don't know what to do on the national side where it's mostly the local side, that means most to me right now.
And where we are sitting too as a council on our county side of things, so. One topic that I wanted to bring up was like community connection. I'd like to see us as a council have some more community engagement, at least host one event in the next year alongside also, is that? Okay, well.
We haven't talked about
The
it.
resource fair, yeah, I was gonna say, no, I don't know if.
Everything's on the table
Put
is
that
the
on your
current
plate,
story,
too.
like.
So let's just say we're able to do another resource fair for the third year in a row. Would love to be a part of that again as a council, and then maybe have just a council outreach, because how are we going to do our job advising the county on what the community needs if we're not engaging with the community? So I don't know if we want to, put this on the agenda, and as a whole, I would like to see like a separate little, a group, subcommittee that kind of talks about this, over the next, few months. And
Yeah, I was gonna
yes,
say,
I mean,
on.
so that it maybe doesn't
There's
take
your
up the
subcommittee.
entire, we have a little subcommittee
So would
that
you like to
deals
vote on
with
that?
community. Yeah, I mean, if the council thinks like that's a good idea, we can
Yes.
vote on a
Do we
subcommittee.
have a first, do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, John.
And then
Okay.
for a committee for outside resource, the only question I have before my vote and as we, before we go on the floor on it is, are you looking for more businesses to come to us with disabilities, or are you looking for different edge and ways of a community outreach?
I would like to be able to reach individuals and families in our community, because.
Other resource fairs or other
Yeah, other resource fairs, or maybe, hold our own event where the community just comes in and meets us and we get to hear about it and, what.
Like a
what-
town.
It's kind of like my
Yeah,
five,
to know you.
it's kind of like my 5 office hours and 3 coffee type thing, even though it's per month. Okay, thank you very much. I think I got, you want more outreach in a way like a coffee hour.
Something,
In
yes,
ways
where
that
we're
is once
engaging
per
the
year.
community at least once, if not twice, if we were to have like the DD resource.
And I
fair.
can't push you for 3 times a month, right?
We can at least just, no, we can get one in.
I made my effort.
We're
John
gonna
and me
No.
are twice a
No, it's just like college kids going back to church 20 years ago, got it. No, thank you very much for letting me do that.
Yes.
I do agree.
Anne has a question.
And yes.
I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to get some, even if it's just flyers, like to target a certain group every month and say, okay, holidays are coming up and more people go to church on the holidays. So let's get something out to the churches so that all the pastors know that there's this program that we have that you can get some resources from, or that, maybe we just do some simple thing, so that people have just a very basic understanding of, you have disabled people in your community and in your church community, and here's some resources that they might not know about. And maybe we target doctors one time. Maybe we target in the spring, we target teachers and transition programs. They don't even talk about housing. They just talk about work, but not everybody can go to work, but they don't even make a plan for where you're going to live after after school ends, or what social services are you going to need, or where are you going to find your friends once you're not coming to school anymore. I joined this group because I just really wanted to be held accountable to get something finished every month. Let's make something, let's do something, let's go somewhere, let's talk to somebody. But I just want to have a more meaningful activity with the group, if it's possible. And if it's not, then tell me, no, that's not your role and you can't. I mean, I don't have to go as a DD council member. I can make things happen, but it certainly lends a lot of credibility to say, the DD Advisory Council created these documents or this opportunity for you to learn about this thing, whatever it is. Maybe it's a 10-minute Zoom link that people can hear. Here's all kinds of things that are available in your community for people that you could just reach out to them.
So I know.
When we're reaching out to the community, are we looking to offer resources, or are we asking them what we can do better? I mean,
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
the topic is just community engagement. I just want to make sure that we're actively reaching the community and getting us out there, because, and like you said, it would be really nice so that somebody be like, oh, there's this, Clackamas County has the DD Advisory Council, maybe I can reach out to somebody there to find out X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be nice for us to be really engaging with the community, and then we'd be better at advising the county. Hey, this keeps coming up, this is a constant theme, or so on and so forth. So
And we'd be better advocates.
Yeah,
it's true.
even sharing resources for us to share with our
Yeah.
service coordinators, because they send out a lot of
Mhm.
resource emails, so
Right.
that would be, be like a two-way.
And who knows what kind of community connections we make just in these, that could be really vital for, like SNAP program and stuff. I mean, if we've been done this a year ago successfully beyond the resource fair, we could have more things to say, oh, hey, well, this company said that they would this and that, and then you guys could distribute or what have you.
I have a parent at, it's like a support group meeting that, Live with Purpose does every month. And we bring in speakers, so I can have, whoever wants to come talk with them about, if you want to get ideas or feedback. Some of them are kind of brutal, though, so yeah, beware. I have no control over what they say.
Fair enough.
Disclaimer. Alright, so, I'm not really thankful, because I think it was you that wanted to post in rest adult services, if I remember right, in a way to that conversation, in a way to how we outreach.
Yes.
So I do appreciate it. I do wonder about the bylaws, but I do want to point out within this, first and second thing, I don't mind a two-time, trial basis in ways of the coffee hours, but the question I have for you as chair, that maybe be February, March, or whatever the next break is, would you like to do it during the break time, or would you like to do it during like during the same month that we may have a meeting with? And what is your leadership? I don't mind what, but you're careful now. Advisory council. Advisory council.
Right.
And, in ways to advise us, what way will we put the least amount of pressure, what Ann can do, what her talent is, I can do it wherever we are, wherever it may be, that the leaders may need. What would you want to do within like a 2 trial right now until we hit it with bylaws? And then we can make it official that we can have 3 per year.
Well, I don't think we necessarily need to put how many times we're gonna have community outreach in our bylaws. But that's why I'd like to have a subcommittee that kind of takes this on and just runs with it. And if we do something every month, that's amazing.
So what about
And I
that?
heard you volunteering.
I'm in, I'm all in.
So I just.
We got-
Yeah,
We have separate flyers for each group.
I think you had a goal post for us to
No.
agree upon was a minimum of at least 1 to 2 times a year. If we do it more, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And
gravy.
what month we do it, I mean, I would hope, my vision that the subcommittee would just kind of take that on and say, hey, council, we're going to do this and this month, and then next
They're
month.
gonna put one caveat on that then, as a member of the council, is I think the subcommittee needs to abide the advisory council, at least, I would say 3 times a year. Because it's not gonna just be 2 times, it's gonna be every week, it's gonna be every month, it's gonna be, you know, in a way that I was trying to build on. In a way, it's good ideas, absolutely, but I'll put a record for that here. But I'm just pointing out, I know that we want to have that, so I would say as a caveat within this, new committee, subcommittee that we're voting for without any trial basis or anything like that, I would advise to have three, not the record report back within the Clark County DD Advisory Council within that, within the subcommittee, and I think I could approve of that. In a way of at least communicating when I see a different direction.
Yeah.
You know, maybe being pandering.
Absolutely.
One thing I know it's your guys' meeting, but as far as the county side, we definitely have policies and procedures that we're gonna want to consult with you guys on. Before we finalize things, to hear your feedback, before we roll them out, so there will be times. Probably early next year where we're going to need to set some time aside for that.
Substantial time, okay.
Okay.
So how would we feel about voting? We have to vote to create a subcommittee, yes? Correct me if I'm.
No, I apologize, Rob.
I mean, no, I thought maybe
No.
we did too,
But
but it is.
I would like to put back that 3, at least come to us 3 times as a non-negotiable.
Well, and maybe to kind of quote worries about that, we do have kind of built in, during our executive sessions, there's like a program update and any information that the council needs, there is an update. So we could literally monthly just say, does the committee have any updates? Yes or no, and then move on.
As
Every,
long as-
we can
as
do
long
it
as
every
it's
month.
Yeah, but
Okay, perfect. So, who would like to volunteer? Anne?
There's your chair right
To
there.
be
on
on
the
the subcommittee, for some community engagement over the next year. And would anybody else like?
I
to
can
do it?
even get some money for flyers if you need money.
Oh, wow.
We
And
can,
you
we
are-
can get them printed, we can even deliver, we got guys who happily get in the car and go deliver to all the brokerages and all the case managers, we can take this on, we
That's awesome.
feel strongly about it.
Nice listening, thank you. Okay, so, and we can talk more about it through email to see who wants to be on the committee, because a couple members aren't here tonight, so. Okay, thank you, Anne, for spearheading this. I know we're running out of time, so should we? I don't know, Kim, if you're gonna have, if 10 minutes isn't, well, not even. I guess we would technically be open for 4, but Kim, we have you.
I'm like, sorry.
Oh, well.
Speedy version.
A speedy version, I mean, you don't have me for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have anybody waiting for public comments?
I don't believe so.
No, so I think we could probably, 10 minutes, which I know
Sure.
isn't much
Well, I
time.
know that, a few meetings ago, we talked about, I don't even remember how we got on point click care, but it was something we had.
We have to write a policy.
Yeah,
pretty
we do
soon,
have to write a
so we need to
policy
let you know.
about it, yeah. But point click care is, what is the language the state uses? The state approved, medical emergency I don't remember, approved platform. But what point click care does is we get notification, we are part, by virtue of being part of ODVS. And being a member of the Department of Human Services at ODVS, we are, enrolled in this, system called Point Click Care. And so what Point Click Care does is it has, all of the emergency room visits that occur for people, and it is pushed out to point click care. Point click care then breaks out it out into, I'm gonna call it a cohort, because I think that's what the language is, but we, as Clackamas County are part of, we have a cohort. Clackamas County individuals, so people, the state. And with the care, their systems speak to one another about who's enrolled in DD services and who's enrolled in Clackamas County. And anybody that goes into an emergency room in Clackamas County. Anywhere that's enrolled in Clackamas County DD services, that information goes into point click care and we have access to it. We're notified. We get a notification. We don't get like an email that says, hey, somebody in your county, but we have access to the system. The state has attempted to put it in our contract that says. You need to go in and review these as part of our incident management. System management. And they tie it to health and safety for individuals as one way that we are potentially monitoring for patterns that may be health related patterns, abuse related patterns, things like that. So it's around supporting individuals primarily for health and safety reasons, for prevention of we have individuals who use emergency services often, repeatedly, daily, multiple times a day. So planning for supporting individuals in those types of settings as well, so planning safety planning. But that's what point click care is. It's a database we have access to, and it provides every emergency room visit information for anyone enrolled in DD services in Clackamas County. So we have access to. That's the essential impetus for it is the monitoring of health and safety and ensuring that the right services and the right kinds of services are being offered to individuals if we see a concern. That's what it is. It's we have concerns and yes, we have access to it and there are good things about it. One of the concerns that we have had is people in services aren't aware of it coming in. It's not something that at the front door, we historically people have not been notified that by virtue of coming in and becoming eligible for DD services and enrolling in DD services, you're going to be part of point click care. Your information of anytime you access emergency care is going to be shared with Clackamas County.
Is there, well, I don't want to ask the question.
Lisa had her
I
hand up
see
first.
you, but I see you, yeah, Lisa, your hand was up first.
ER nurse here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do appreciate you bringing up that there has been concerns around families of those who are receiving services in Clackamas County not being made aware that this is what's happening. I also, which, that's concerning because it sort of feels, I have heard, this isn't me saying this about my family, but I have heard that is concerning because they feel violated once their service coordinator does reach out and say, hey, I got pinged that you went to the ER 4 nights ago. How's Hannah? Right? We'll just use my daughter as an example. And I know it exists and I share it with families because I know it exists. But I have heard that. So thank you for bringing that up. But the other thing that I would say is just point of clarification. It is just ER visits for the person receiving services, right?
Yes.
And that, I mean, I know that, but that is another thing families need to know because they are concerned that their whole family is being pinged and that information is being funneled to counties. So just FYI. And then the last thing that I would say is and I'll go back to my own daughter and an example, and I'm an ER nurse and I know how we chart in the ER. You know, so the way your system, the notification shows up for you
Yeah.
on your end
Uh-huh.
is different than the way it looks how we chart in the ER. And so you just get this like little list of diagnosis codes with titles, right? And
Yep.
then you get this little blurb that says this patient was seen for this reason and blah blah blah. And I'm just here to share with everybody that those diagnosis codes don't always give the full picture.
Correct.
Good and bad, accurate and inaccurate. So just, you know, we should be mindful as people in the world that when we're reading this information, it might not always say the whole thing, whether you're looking for a risk or not, whether you're looking for, you know, something to check up on if the services are correct for that person or not. Just food for thought. That's all.
No, I
Thank you.
appreciate that, and we are aware of that because, and that is something that we have been advocating, using as advocacy against forcing us to use point-click care in our contract because of the inaccuracy of what we receive from point-click care is oftentimes what comes in is nothing compared to what actually happens in the ER.
Yeah.
The information that we get is not related or doesn't end up being what the actual outcome in the ER really was or what the diagnosis was. So
Yeah, it's a great conversation starter, in my opinion, you know, and like a check-in point, but it's never the real thing. just
yes,
so you know.
and yeah, we appreciate that. Yes, I thank you so much for sharing that. That is a really large point of contention that we have with the with how much they want us to rely on point-click care. So the fact that, yes, there was a visit to the ER is really the only value, not only, but oftentimes the value of it is, oh, there was a ER visit, we probably should check. You know, we need to check to see what on, and assess if it is something that is serious or if, you know, they had a really bad cough and they need to go in and have it checked out, right? So.
Yeah. And the other thing that I will say, I just another food for thought is as we move forward in all of this Medicaid changes and people losing and having no food, all the food insecurity things, I just want to remind everyone that we will be seeing a lot more families, especially in our community, using emergency departments as primary care. And that is that's just real. We see this influx every time something changes with, you know, a community service or a benefit that usually is advantageous to families. And then when it goes away, we start becoming the resource for them in the ER. So just know that those visits are going to influx and they don't always mean emergencies or risks. It just means they're using it as primary care because they can't get into their PCPs or pediatricians. So just food for thought.
Yeah, and I know we're at time for our meeting, so if we feel like we need to extend the time, we can definitely extend the
I think
time.
we just need to double check with facilities.
Oh,
We have an issue that this building is actually closed now, and so facility stays here, so we just need to make sure that.
Colleen, and Sarah, you both had questions. Would it be reasonable to say, submit some questions via email?
Maybe we have this as a January.
I think Lisa kind of answered mine. It was more of a HIPAA kind of training. So
Right,
How it
I may
interfaces
ask a
with-
question on the side off the record and wait.
And yeah, it is the HIPAA thing, and that's part of our privacy practices, and the privacy notices as well. But we did. The state has, a belief that due to
They have a meeting going till 9, not that I want to stay till. But, you know, but I just wanted to come out.
Is there a waiver that's signed or anything by the?
Sounds like there needs to be, we're gonna be doing a.
That's what we want to talk about. This is
Like
just,
an informed consent
Yeah.
or something.
right, and an opportunity to opt out. Because
Oh.
right now, the argument is ODDS says, well, we are notifying people in our notification of rights.
Hmm.
It's not there. Go look. I encourage you.
Okay.
Please find it.
Okay,
But,
Yeah,
so
so
it's
if you
not
see something we
clear.
don't, let us know.
this is really important. Glad this.
So this is just kind of scratching the surface of the conversation,
Mhm.
because these are all conversations that we've been having at the program level.
It's currently happening though.
So what happens is that, yeah, the program gets notified through our abuse investigations team, and then they notify the SCs, and the SC then reaches out to the individuals or families.
Hmm.
To let them, you know,
Yeah.
to say, hey. we
But
noticed you
yeah,
have that."
and up until now, there really hasn't been, like, we haven't identified. We haven't had a internal policy
Right.
of our own, and we haven't had it as part of our privacy practices, or privacy notice, and. It's like, it's huge. We need,
Yeah.
this is something that's, people need to be notified of, because the state isn't notifying people the access to the system. And it's their system, it's like their access,
Mm.
and they're saying to us, you must do this.
Hmm.
And so, we also have pushed back and said people have to be notified of their right and their ability to opt out.
Mm.
They have the ability, you have the ability to opt out, you need to know what that is. So that if you truly don't want us to have this access.
Mm.
That you have the right to say no, and that information is virtually nowhere for people.
So to Amy's sort of point or question then, because I know it sounds like you have a handful of policies that need to come to this group, but is, you know, without putting undue pressure on you and your small but mighty team, is this something that you guys could have sort of a draft for the January
Mm.
meeting for sort of, because this feels like a deeper
Yeah.
dive.
Oh, for sure.
And I think having something to react to
Mhm.
would also be helpful, so even if, you know, that can be sent out in advance of the meeting, because I think right now it's like. Without really seeing sort of what action we could take, I think it opens more
Yeah.
questions than, you know.
And this is just the
answers.
introduction, like this
Right.
was sort of the
No.
like, this is. We want you to be aware, and we want to bring more to you, so that when we bring more to you,
Mhm.
you have
Mhm.
a concept of what
Yes,
it
thank you.
is.
Mhm.
And know a little bit of the
For my-
backstory of it is, and that there is this push for. Like an increased usage of it and increased expectations of it at the state level, and wanting to ship more into our contract.
So my question, and to just wrap it up on the notes, and, you know, for January, is how does this affect provider type that get injured on the job?
Doesn't.
So they get out of it, so what
This is only individuals in
Individual
service. People receiving services enrolled in DD services. This doesn't affect anybody else.
so no SC gonna realize that provider got injured by their client?
No.
Interesting.
No,
No.
this don't,
I need to formulate my theory, but it sounds like, you know, as a client, it will be interesting in providers, you know. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's good information, but, and then, we definitely have to have that back on our agenda, maybe we can team up with QA and with Care
Well, I
for.
think it's a perfect example of the need to bring policy to the group for input.
Yeah.
So that's just one of many examples
Mhm.
of things that we need to bring forward.
And why we need a
Yeah.
QA team,
Yeah.
and why this is so
Mhm.
critical,
Yeah.
so fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for all of your input, and Mary for being here
Of course.
today.
Yeah.
And then Krista,
For letting me
of
be
course,
here.
who had to
Yeah.
go.
Thank you.
And then everybody online, we had really good discussions at this meeting, so I appreciate it. So I move to adjourn 6 minutes late, sorry, everybody.
I have a yay. Okay. Everybody, we will see you next time. Have a lovely month and we won't see you till January. So all of the happies, you know, thanks to me. All the happies. All the happies.
See you in 2026.
I know.